So, what is a good team comp to actually have in Solasta currently? After I've gone through the classes, you have to think about, okay, what classes do you want, what races do you want, and so on and so forth, and how do you want to set up your team. Um, so one thing you have to think about is you want to have at least one support and you want to have at least two people in front line and maybe two people in backline, or one person can at least be versatile and go both to backline and front line. Um, so you definitely want a frontline character. For frontliners, you can either do a fighter or a paladin or best frontliners. If you really want a frontline cleric, you want to go with the life domain here, which will just give you proficiency with heavy armor, and you can just stand there and be a really big fat person and just be in the way. Um, in general, I would go if for a fallen tank, I'd go a hill dwarf, but you could also just go a human or a as a fighter or a half elf, for example. It doesn't really matter your race choice when it comes to, like, two constitution is nice, but it's not the end of the world if you don't have it. Hill dwarf is definitely your best frontliner, so let's just make a hill dwarf as our frontliner instead, because I believe that's probably the best frontline to have due to the extra health per level. One health might not seem like a lot, but it adds up in the long run. Um, so you can choose from three classes then: the fighter, the cleric, or the paladin instead. The cleric is an obvious choice due to you having the plus wisdom. Uh, but you could also do a fighter and paladin. If you're gonna go with a paladin for frontliner, I would go a half elf because you get the 2 charisma and you're able to easily get some good strength and good constitution from the get go. If you're gonna go with a fighter, I'd also either go half elf or human. For the cleric, I'd definitely go with hill dwarf. But let's make a hill dwarf cleric as our frontliner for now. So we know we're gonna go with strength, so we want a warhammer because we can take a warhammer. A warhammer deals more damage; it's better. We know we're not gonna use a lot of dex, so we're gonna have scale mail. With that said, we do still want a light crossbow for some range attacks. So we said we're gonna go life because we want to be tanky. Right. So I've already talked about my opinion about all of this. So I prefer personally to go with the two extra languages. We do not need a martial weapon due to us being a dwarf, so we have proficiency with Warhammer and we're starting with it. The two extra languages and all of these proficiencies is just so strong. Like, I just cannot say no. I do not know how good the academic is. The academic might be the most broken background if this is good, but I don't know what relationship does, and I felt like it was pretty easy to get the tokens to get relationship. So I'll definitely go aristocrat for this character. I'm just gonna do a standard array for now. That's what I prefer to use if I have to do anything. You want it to frontliners, you might as well pump the 16 in Constitution and the 16 also over here, or the 15 rather, in Wisdom, so you get two extra 16s. For Strength, you either want a 13 or 12. It generally doesn't matter because you're not going to increase it for very late game, and you might not even do that during the late game stages. You know Dexterity can be dumpstered due to you having you can have heavy armor on. The problem is you don't know when you're going to get heavy armor. So instead, I'd personally drop the intelligence, and then still get the I get a +1 in charisma and just have a 0 in dexterity. You can also, if you're really balls to the wall, just say, okay, I'm just gonna dump some my dexterity because I know in the long run it'll be worth it. So you can also do that. It's up to you how much you trust in your skill. For class skills, insight is like you already start off with persuasion history, so you're already set on those. You do have scroll kit, which I didn't feel like it was usable for in the game, but it might be useful later on. Not sure. So that's something. You get out of 13 insight because that skill that always gets used. I did not feel like medicine was being used at all. But religion might also be it should also be a very good skill to take due to its versatility. With that being said, we're down to languages. As always, Old Temerian is the language I'm going to take for this guy, and also going to take, let's just give him Terran for now. So currently we have 4 languages covered: Common, Dwarvish, Terran, and Old Temerian. So we know those 3 free languages, always have Ultimarian because that's going to be an important language with Novus because of the text to it. We know we can just ignore these free languages for now for the other characters to set up. Guidance, Sacred Flame, remember to use Guidance, I forgot, and Light. I don't really care about look. I'm just going to do Paladin Dwarf. So that'd be my frontliner, I'm a Paladin Dwarf. Or as Cleric Dwarf, actually, whatever. So the next character we want is, we still want to have some damage on our team. We definitely want damage. For damage, you can go Wizard, you can go Rogue. Range, I'm not sure how good is. I haven't tried it actually. It's the only class I've ignored completely. Paladin can also go pretty damage, and so can Fighter. For this, due to there being some problem with Rogue, in my opinion, I'm actually going to make a Fighter. And I really want a Dex Fighter because I want some damage and still versatility. So for Dex, I prefer to go with Half Elf. So here, where's the Fighter? So due to me knowing I will go a Dex Fighter, I'm going to go Lever. I'm going to go over Rapier and Shield because I'm pretty sure dual wielding is not working correctly currently. Have some range, and Dungeoneer's Pack is fine. Validate, next. For first time, low life is worth it because you get the proficiency with Thieves Tools, and you will not have proficiency with Thieves Tools otherwise. So you might as well get it here, and you will not get I'll not take a road for because I'm gonna for this run because I'll have this Fighter instead. So all this is up to you. I'll probably make them again because I want to think about this a bit more. Standard array. So as said, we want Dex. Dex is definitely going to be a big one. We can put 14 charisma in order to. I'm probably going to put a bigger one, but for now I'm just going to put this down here. We do want actually some constitution, but I don't believe it's worth putting our 14 here. So instead I'm going to put our 13 and pump it up to a 14. These last ones, it doesn't really matter to be honest where you put them. The only one that matters is strength needs to be a -1 because we're not going to use strength at all. And then here it depends on what you want. You could always say, okay, I'm also going to be the talkative person, so I'm going to put the 16 here. And then instead do it like this. It's kind of up to you which ones you have where. You can also do a more average one where you get 14 here and 14 there, or whatever floats your boat. I'd probably go like this due to having better perception. So that's why I like it. Intelligence is, in my opinion, one of the worst stats in D&D, sadly. We're never going to go dueling. 2-weapon fighting, I'm pretty sure it doesn't work, so just going to go dueling for now. Acrobatics, due to us being a Dex fighter, so we're definitely need the acrobatics. It's just a good skill to take. And then depending on what you chose earlier, you can kind of choose whatever you want now. If you had the plus, persuasion would be an obvious choice, and then maybe take the intimidation as well. You could also go with the perception, which is the choice I'm going to do, is definitely take a perception for my class skill, and then take something like insight. So I'm pretty well rounded and I'm able to do a lot of things, and I still have the Thieves Tools. So we know we have Dwarves and we have Terran already. We can ignore those. We also have Elvish now, and we can take one more. So Giant, Goblin, Halfling, Orcish. I feel like Orcish would fit this character, so I'm gonna go Orcish. Boom. And this is the it was Fighter, Elf, Half Elf. So that's 2 of the 3 characters. Can I actually rename a character? Where are you? Paladin Dwarf, can I rename him? I can't, apparently. Oh well, new character. So, we now need a backliner. We still only have our Dex Fighter, which can be used as backliner. It's a versatile character because you can both go with the range and you can go melee. But I still like a big backliner. The Wizard is the obvious choice to go. And for Wizard this time, I'm actually going to go with a High Elf because you do get an extra cantrip, and you always want the extra cantrip. It helps out. It's a small upgrade and can matter. All this doesn't really. I really don't think this matters at all. So you're never going to use weapons generally. I take with dagger just because it's lighter. Component pouch doesn't matter what it's more of what you like, because it's just a way to cast your spells. So next, again, aristocrat is so strong, so I see nowhere, no world where you just don't take it. Maybe later when if this is really good, this is probably a correct actually choice. Just due to the fact that you get proficiency on Arcana, Nature, and Insight, which is really nice. 2 of them are int skills, and the last one is a charisma skill, but doesn't really matter. I believe Insight is charisma. It might actually be wisdom. Not sure now. But yeah, let's go via academic this time. You still get 2 languages, so we're gonna use standard array. Intelligence is the only stat that matters. Dex is nice to have +3, so we're going to put that one there. And then Constitution, Wisdom, Charisma, and Strength. You can swap these 2, or actually, you can swap these as long as one of the 12 or 13 goes into Constitution. These last 2 don't matter at all. It's completely up to you. Do you want to be more charismatic? You take your charisma. If you want more wisdom, I prefer wisdom, so I'd put it like this. That's what I'd do, but it really doesn't matter if we're realistic. So next, here, investigation and history would be my 2 choices due to them being intelligence checks, and you are the intelligence character. Sadly, you cannot also take religion. We already have most of these sorted out and orcish, so we can now take giant, goblin, and halfling, and I'll be secured with all languages in the game. You could also, which is probably what I'd do, take 1 at least Ultramarine again, and then take halfling, let's say halfling. Because then your set for the last character can then take goblin. The set Firebolt is the strongest cantrip probably to get Rare Frost. It was my 2 favorite to use currently. Shock and Grasp is pretty good when people come into a range, but you can also do Dancing Light due to the amount of lack of light in the game. Besides that, it doesn't really matter. Shadow Dagger was very disappointing in my opinion, so I'm just gonna go Shock and Grasp. Jump was surprisingly useful, so I was very happy to find out. That's a good one. Magic Missile, best damage spell in the game right now, I believe. Shield, always nice to have it. Identify is very useful when you have objects you don't know what do. Featherfall, I believe, is also really good. Saved me actually quite a lot of health at one point because a bridge collapsed under me, so I would have lost a lot of health, but I didn't. Burning Hands, I actually never ended up using, which was surprising because I normally use this a lot. Charm Person, I do not think this is worth it. I think it's pretty useless. The same with Color Spray. Detect Magic can be useful, but it's more of a, in my opinion, it's kind of meh. Expedition Retreat was surprising. And normally when I play D&D, I would actually use this, but I didn't find a use for it really. I didn't feel like it was needed. Like I could set up well enough for it not to be used, or not to be useless, more or less. So I prefer to take the Identify with Featherfall, with Jump, Magic Missile. I never get to use like this kind of spell. Like some of these spells, I just never use. Sleep, I never use. Mage Armor, never use. Protection. All of these, they might be really good spells, but I just don't use them. Thunder Wave is the last one I'd use, because if people get close, you use Thunder Wave to get people away from you. So, Elf, Wizard. You're a wizard, Hetty. So, just stay true to the meme. And last but not least, we need, so currently, if we, I'll just exit this. If we're going to use an adventure, we currently have our elf wizard. We have our, where are you? Our, not paladin, but our cleric dwarf. And we have last but not least, our fighter half elf. So currently I have one who's versatile, one frontliner, and one backliner. That means currently we need either a full-on frontliner or we need a full-on backliner. I personally would here take a new character. Here it's really up to what you want. Ranger would probably be, I said I have no clue about Ranger, but if it's a good backliner, take it. I'd personally take a fighter over it as a Ranger. Do a Dex fighter again, make it a ranged Dex fighter. Or you could also do a Paladin, and I really think Paladins are really, really strong in this game. And you also get the extra healing so you don't have to rest as often. Oh, I do not have a correct race for it though. So for Paladin, you need Charisma, you need Strength, and you need Constitution. Half Elf is the go-to race here by far. You could also do Humans, but I do believe Half Elf is just a better version for a Paladin. For the items, I'd go I said I'm going to be a strength fighter, so a strength paladin. So I prefer to go with a hammer due to I have every single other damage type besides the hammer. I like the shield because I will be in the frontline a bit. So javelin, fine. Everything else doesn't matter. Next, uh, I don't believe there's a difference. It's just up to gameplay wise what you want from this. It doesn't matter. Aristocrats again. It's such a good background. Like, what can I say? It's just way too good a background. Might be academic is the better one of the two. I'm not sure, but aristocrat is just like, how am I supposed to not take aristocrat? Especially when we're a charisma character. Like, in what world am I not taking aristocrat? So, alright, standard array. We are again going to dumpster our. Right here, I dumpster 12 and to get 14 here. I definitely want some strength to be my strength to be 16, and we might as well also get an early 14 in Constitution. Additionally, we now have these three stats. We know we can dumpster Dex due to having heavy armor, so we have these three left. Intelligence is the worst stat. Wisdom, I prefer to have a +2 here probably due to it being more versatile. But if this is your talker or your main characters, you want someone to be really good at charisma, pump the 16 here. I don't think the +3 would do a big difference in with your casting. Like, it's a +1, it might do a bit of a difference, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. It's worth it if you want to have this character be the main talker every time, or the main persuader. So, but we already have a pretty good routed team, so but we can do this. Let's do this. 16. Athletics because you're strength based, so I'd always take athletics in this situation. And I'd probably take persuasion. Insight is my next one, and due to us not having medicine, it might be useful later on. I'm not sure. I do not feel I bumped into it a single time, so but let's take it for now because it might be useful. So as I said, we're secured on everything right now besides goblins. Let's take goblin, ultimarin because we might as well double it up it, and let's just take as well Terran because it might be an important language. Isn't language that's not normal, and this would be our paladin elf. Who's actually a paladin? I don't remember. Paladin, real paladin elf. And that would be my party composition because I would have my fighter who would be versatile both in frontline and backline. I'd have my paladin who would be able to be a frontliner to go with my cleric. And then last but not least, have my heavy backline as an elf with my wizard. So that'd be my party composition. Perfect. I believe this is the strongest party composition. Yes.